All right, so I probably should have shown this to you before. Um, all right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a neat trick that I like to use. It allows you to not have to worry about knowing which mode you should be using. So let me explain. This is a long title here. Creating appropriate chord scales using chord tones and available tensions. Whew. Let's take a look at that B flat dominant 7th chord. So we have the B flat 7 chord from measure 2. I'm going to just show you 3 different chords here and how this concept applies. So the B flat dominant 7th chord is this. My available tensions on this chord, on a dominant 7th chord, are all over the map. I have flat 9, natural 9, sharp 9, sharp 11, flat 13, 13. So let's just use just our basic 9, sharp 11, 13, like that kind of stuff, right? So we would normally use what? 9, sharp 11, 13, right? So we have B flat dominant 7th, my B flat dominant 7th chord, and I have my 9th, my sharp 11, and my 13th, right? So now if I were to put these notes all together into a scale, I would get this. Now, what did we end up using in the song? We ended up using a B flat Mixolydian scale, right? However, this is just what we would call a Lydian flat 7, but you know what? There's another way in which you can think about it for right now. I would call it a Lydian flat 7 scale. However, it might be easier if you think about it as a Mixolydian sharp 11 for right now. But the technical term, what you should lock it in your memory is as a Lydian flat 7, because it's a Lydian scale with a flatted 7. Now, here, there's only one note difference. So there's your Mixolydian scale, once again, and then your Lydian flat 7, or your Mixolydian with the sharp 11. So let me try using that for my improvisation. Yeah, that sounds nice now, doesn't it? Okay. So the point is that, okay, I knew my chord tones for B flat dominant 7th, and I knew my available tensions. I know that I can have 9, I can have 13, and then the 11th, I could use as a passing tone, but sharp 11 I could use as a tension. So the point is that I didn't even have to really even worry about, well, what is the mode? I know the chord tones and I know the tensions. Let me do it on another chord. Let's take a look at A flat major 7. There's A flat major 7. What are available tensions on a major 7 chord? You have 9, sharp 11, and 6. Well, now look at the scale that you got. The scale is exactly what we're using. It's a Lydian scale. Okay, if we do it on the C minor 7 chord in measure 9, okay, that A flat was measure 4, by the way. So C minor in measure 9. Okay, there's my minor chord. I know I can have 9, 11, and 6 as available tensions on a minor 7 chord. What do I have? I got a Dorian scale right there. Okay, so now, did I have to know that it was called Dorian? Well, no. I know my chord tones and I know my available tensions on the chord tones. So this is another way in which you can look at it, and yet another way in which you could say, yeah, you know what? I guess I really don't have to know all of these modes in all 12 keys. Okay? Knowing the names of the modes is not as important as knowing the function of the notes. Okay? So knowing the names of the modes, not as important. What's mostly important is when you see a minor 7 chord, you know you're not going to be playing sharp 11 on it or flat 9. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to play flat 9. I'm not going to play, I'm not going to play sharp 11 unless I'm doing it like a blues. Okay? So there's certain notes that you just start to naturally know, hey, they're not going to work on this chord. On a minor 7 chord, what's another note on a minor 7 chord that definitely is not going to work? Major 7, Not going to work on that kind of chord. If it was a minor major 7 chord, sure. Okay? So you start to learn these notes that you naturally want to stay away from. Once again, it gets back to that whole idea of avoiding notes. Yeah, you avoid landing on them and staying on them for a long time. All right, doesn't mean that you can't use them. If you want to use your major 7, I mean, look, I went down the chromatic scale. I mean, sure, you can do that, okay? So, knowing these chords and knowing these tensions is a great way of being able to improvise over any chord, anywhere, regardless of how it's functioning, okay? So, if you want to get better at knowing these chords and tensions, check out the piano chords lessons. There's 3 different piano chords lessons. I'm not sure which one I talk about the tensions in, but I know I do in one of them. I think probably the first or second level I talk about that. But definitely get to know your tensions. Remember, the tensions are going to be your chord, and it's going to be some kind of 9, some kind of 11, some kind of 13. All right? For major chords, 9, sharp, 11, 13, or 6 we would call it, all right? So if you have a major 7 chord, add on 9, sharp, 11, and 6, all right? So on a major 7 chord, that's the kind of scale that you would probably end up using. On a minor 7 chord, 9, 11, and 6. Okay, there you go, there's your Dorian. Yeah, maybe you'd switch to Aeolian, but we've already established that that's really not that much of a change that it's going to make or break your improvisation. Dominant 7th chords, hey, 9, sharp, 11, 13, obviously you can throw in flat 9, sharp 9, you know, sharp 11, which, you know, whatnot, okay? But as long as you know that basic chord, okay? On dominant 7th chords, it actually helps to think of the notes that you just want to stay away from. Stay away from the 11th and the major 7th, for the most part, but guess what? Once again, it gets back to that whole avoid thing. So using this technique, it's great. You know, you can end up using it over any song, and I suggest that you do that. Pick up a standard or some song, look at the chords, all right, and what I want you to do is spell out the chord tones, and then I want you to fill in the tensions, okay, and I want you to write out the scale for yourself. Right? Then I want you to just play a simple chord shell on the left hand, just the root in the 7th or the root in the 3rd. The reason for that is when you start putting in all these notes of the chord, then yes, more of these notes in the chord are going to interfere with the right hand. So that's obviously going to be tense. Whereas you notice also it opens it up so you can really hear the right hand and hear the harmony that you're establishing in that right hand. Okay, so we've been through a lot in this lesson. I think I've explained to you enough, you know, what you should be getting out of it and how you should be practicing this. Remember, work on these modes, work on specific modes, work on them in different keys, pick key centers to work on. Don't keep coming back to C. It's up to you to transpose these into all 12 keys. I'm not going to write them out on all 12 keys for you because you know what? If you really want to get good at doing this, you need to do it yourself. And then the other thing is, it's just your major scale. So learn your major scale. If you need to know your major scales, I do cover them in the hand and mastery lesson. I know I go through all 12 there, and I think there's some other places that I've gone through all 12 major scales as well. But anyway, make sure that you go through these modes and you get them down. You can put them on index cards for yourself or whatnot. But most of all, don't get uptight about, my modes and whatnot, okay? Learn your chords, learn your tensions, you'll be fine. All right, I'll see you in the next lesson.